Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about toys. We've got Hoodie CoCO Commander here.
Hello. How do you do? And we have Pegwarmers / SEO toy reviews here. How do you do?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It has been a little bit, hasn't it?
It has.
We haven't talked like this for a while, and I think the last time I saw you in person was a few years ago when I was doing my trip up to the Northeast.
Yeah, you were on a road trip.
It's been a minute.
It's been a little while. Yeah. It's good though. I miss seeing, the videos and everything. I totally get, life changes and things move on, but you were always one of those people that I look forward to your content, and so it's nice to have you back out. I've seen you, make appearances on other channels here and there. What's on Joe's Mind, and you were recently on an episode of Toy Connection.
Yeah,
but it's good to have you out.
Thank you. And a while back, I did unboxing and assembly of some GI Joe Extreme vehicles.
Yes,
from pure boredom. Well, not pure boredom. I really did miss the vehicle assemblies. That was just, it was fun. I hadn't done it in a long time, and I had a gap of time with nothing else to do, and I'm like, I want to, so I did.
Yeah, I get that.
So it's not very edit heavy, not like a review or something, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was a very fun surprise to see you publish a video, and it's just something kind of just out there. There's not a lot of people covering GI Joe Extreme stuff, so it was neat to see. I don't know, those were both toys that I had never interacted with, so it was kind of fun to see them.
So yeah, I'm here to announce that HCC788 will now be the all GI Joe Extreme channel.
Yes.
So yeah, look forward to that. At JoeFest, we were joking that I got to be the all Sigma 6 channel. So now I got to make a comeback so I can cover all of Sigma 6, and then maybe I'll have to cover all of GI Joe Extreme.
There's people waiting for that content.
No promises though. No promises.
So you mentioned JoeFest. You were recently there.
Yes.
For anybody that's not familiar with it, can you give me a quick description of what JoeFest is?
Yeah, JoeFest is a sort of unofficial continuation of JoeCon, the International GI Joe Convention that was the official convention that was held every year since 1994. That official convention ended in 2018, but one of my good friends, Ed Schumacher, started doing JoeFest, an unofficial GI Joe annual convention in Augusta, Georgia, because that's where he lives, and that has kind of taken off as more sort of the replacement JoeCon. A lot of the people that you would see at JoeCon now show up at JoeFest. So it's a big GI Joe. It's more than just a GI Joe thing. They also have like wrestlers and celebrity actors and things like that. But it is still a lot of GI Joe, and a lot of other toys as well. But you have GI Joe creators like this year. Larry Hama was there. Ron Rudat was there. Sergeant Slaughter. He's there like every year. Like he's a regular now. Everybody loves Sergeant Slaughter.
You gotta love Sarge.
So yeah, it is in Augusta, Georgia. Unlike JoeCon, which would move around to different cities each year, it's in Augusta, Georgia each year. But it's started to become a tradition, and it's grown, and it's our annual family reunion now. So this is where you go and you see the friends that you only get to see once a year.
Right. Yeah, it's a probably 85-90% GI Joe based. There are other fringe things, which is good because most most people that are into, I'll use the term nerd stuff,
Yeah.
have more than one passion or more than one interest. So, people bring other stuff and the guests aren't necessarily all G.I. Joe based. But that gives you something for spouses and, people that have mixed interest, and especially like local people that would want to come out. If it was purely G.I. Joe, that kind of really niches the market of that event. And since it's not an official Hasbro sponsored JoeCon, they still have Joe in the name and it's still mostly Joe, but it's a little bit different.
So yeah, they can branch out. But there's a lot of independent toy maker representation there now, and at least the ones that tend to show up there are a lot of the ones that are inspired by G.I. Joe. So
Right.
Like Delta 17 and Skeletron, those guys. So if you're like collecting the independent stuff, like the really cool stuff that's coming out now from independent toy makers, almost all of those people are there at JoeFest. Yeah, it isn't a strictly G.I. Joe focused convention, but it is still a lot of G.I. Joe, and a lot of the stuff that is not G.I. Joe is still G.I. Joe inspired.
Right.
So
that O-ring revolution we're in.
I really love it. And my girlfriend, Marianne, she's been going with me for the last few years. She's started to really love that. And she has, now she has friends that she wants to go back and see every year.
Yeah.
We were not expecting to make it this year.
Okay.
We had just finished a lot of travel. We went to Denver. We went to Florida. We had actually just gotten back from Florida. We were tired, and Georgia is not nearby. It's about a 14-hour drive.
Right.
And so our plan was to miss JoeFest this year. We just figured that the timing just isn't right. But really, credit to Marianne. She really thought about it and considered it, and she's the one who brought up, maybe we can make it, maybe we should just go, and ultimately we did, and I'm really glad we did. It was fantastic. It was really memorable. So credit to Marianne. She is now a JoeFest fan and a regular. So she had the idea to go, so she gets the credit for us going.
Well, that's great. Yeah, you sent me a couple pictures throughout the weekend, hanging out with different people, which is awesome. There's always a ton of, like you said, the people that are creating new O-ring style things, the Joe vendors that from year to year to year, plus all of the content creator people like yourself, Jason Merle from Order of Battle, and tons of other people are there every year. Hanging out. So it's a great way to connect with everybody.
JoeCon used to be described as an annual family reunion, and that was accurate. And this really has become that as well. It's a bit different in that it's the same city each time.
Right.
But I don't know, like we go to Augusta, we go to the convention center, and we've been there enough times that it just sort of feels like home now, right? So you show up at the convention center, yeah, it's the same old thing, but you walk in there and you feel like, okay, we're here. We're at JoeFest. Right. Around every corner, there's going to be someone we know, a really close friend, someone we give big bear hugs to. So it's pretty special. It's a family reunion. That is the best description I have for it.
Did you pick up anything? I know you've really cut back on collecting, but did you pick up anything or see anything that just kind of surprised you, something you'd never seen before while you were there?
There was cool stuff there. I did get a few things. I shouldn't say I didn't get anything. I did not get a bunch of vintage toys like I normally would.
Right.
From when I started going to JoeCon started going to JoeFest, one of the things that I do is I'd pick up armloads of vintage stuff that would be the stuff that I would review for the next year. I didn't do that. I am trying to downscale the amount of plastic that I have. But we got some print material, got some books and posters, some art prints. Whenever I see Ron Rudat at anything, I usually pick up a print for him to sign, and it's a nice way to just say hi. And his wife Ginny was there, and Ginny is delightful. She's a wonderful person, and she's just a joy to be around. So it was nice to see Ginny. Any excuse to see Ron and Ginny is great. I picked up some print stuff. I was also given a couple of things by some people. So I did get some things. I did pick up a few odds and ends. Oh, and some patches and a patch and a pin for my battle jacket that I'm filling out. But that's the kind of thing that I got. Not so much toys, more like memorabilia and ephemera that I'm enjoying right now. I'm enjoying a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know you always do your like sign my card souvenir.
Yeah. And actually I should have had that handy. It's not even in this room. See, show prep is what I need to do. Show prep.
You're out of practice.
I did bring the card for everyone to sign, and I got lots of signatures on it. It's I started doing that in 2019. That was the second JoeFest, but the first one that I attended.
Okay.
And it's also the first convention where I had a table. So I was set up as HCC788 to see people and all that. But I wasn't able to get around the convention very much, so I set up a card, like a big foam board card, with some Sharpies. So everybody who came to see me, they could sign the card, so at least I could have a memento of everyone that I saw. Well, tradition is continuing, and I do have a 2025 JoeFest card that is filled with signatures. Larry Hama's signature is on there. Ron's signature is on there. Lots of signatures on there. It's missing a Kevin.
I wasn't there this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, like it's the blank spot. I think there's a Kevin shaped hole in the heart of my my signature card.
It's a tough event for me to get to. I would love to go every year. If it was like in my backyard, I would be there. But like you, it's a hike. It's also close to the end of the school year for my job, and it often coincides with a local video game convention that is run by like personal friends of mine that I usually help out. So it's like plus family commitment. So it's like I'm juggling too many things a lot of times. I have been there once, had a great time, would love to go back, and maybe one of these years it'll happen. But
it's not. Yeah, it's not nearby you either. Like I have to travel like this way, and then we have to like this way. So it's it's really there are pros and cons to having a show at the same place each year. For one thing, it's in the same place each year. You know where it'll be,
right?
But one of the things about JoeCon is that like you kind of once you knew where it was and when it was, you kind of plan your vacations around there, and they would go to places where you would see things like they'd have it in Dallas and Colorado, and they'd have it in Florida and Orlando. And so you could like go to different places, see different things besides just the convention. And that's nice. That was always fun, bringing the kids and everything because there's stuff to do outside the convention. But like if you're in say Seattle and it's in Orlando, then it's even
a hike.
Like it is. Yeah, it's even farther. Your chances of getting there are even slimmer. So it's a trade-off. So yeah, return to Augusta, and yeah, but it's not that close to me. We typically drive, so we did drive this time,
Okay.
and it's a major journey for us.
Yeah, I mean the road trip aspect of it can be a lot of fun if you got a car full of people and you got some decent places to stop along the way. It can definitely be an adventure going to a con.
Well, at least there's Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
At least we always stop at Buc-ee's, so there's always that to look forward to. We took the kids a couple of years ago, her daughter and mine, my youngest, and so after that it became an adults only trip. The car ride is not, for teenagers, it wasn't maybe the most they maybe weren't the most enthusiastic, but yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. We toyed with the idea of not going this year. We surprised people.
I was shocked when you sent me the picture. I was like texting you news from JoeFest that I saw. I was excited about the Super 7 announcements, and then you sent me a picture that you were there. I was like, oh, geez, okay.
We were really sneaky, right? So as far as everybody knew, we weren't going to go, and we weren't going to go. That was the plan. But when we decided, I actually talked to Ken from Toy Connections about just kind of what was going on, who was expected to be there. We found out that a couple of our international friends were going to be coming in again. And we decided, let's just go, but let's just show up,
Yeah.
Let's just sneak in there and then, surprise people. So what I did is I gave Ken a code to let him know if we were actually coming, when we made a decision and when we're going, so that he would know. The code was "the horn blows at midnight." I'll send him up.
Hold on a second. Oh my goodness. You need to look to your right. Oh, I didn't think you were coming. So good to see you.
A message. The horn blows at midnight. And just for laughs, Jason, I sent a message to Jason and said, hey, tell Ken the horn blows at midnight. Didn't tell him what it is.
Gotcha. So made him an accomplice.
We got there, and we were like sneaking up on people and surprising them. We got a great video of us catching up with Jason.
Okay.
We completely caught him by surprise. A fantastic, great candid camera video. The horn blows at midnight. Yes. Wait. Yes. But that was great fun. But we've already gone to that well once. We can't pretend now like we're not going to go.
Right.
We tried to not go once, and that failed. So obviously, we will plan to go again next year. So, but it was really worth it. It was a very memorable gathering.
In between the flickering light, you have this very dramatic thing going on behind you once in a while. But I thought I would point out, because you mentioned before we started, your newest piece of artwork behind you there. Do you want to talk about that for a split second?
Yeah, I'll pull this down. My just before we started recording this, my oldest daughter, Tori, stopped by. She's at a local anime convention. She picked up some original art, and she got this for me.
Awesome.
And she just dropped that off. She wanted to bring it by and give it to me, and so that's this is brand new. Like new
to the collection.
Less than a half an hour before we started recording this, I got it. So now this is this gorgeous hooded Cobra Commander right there is going to be watching over my shoulder. He's got his eyes on you. So Watch yourself.
I won't cross them.
And you're right. My light is flickering. I don't know what's up with that. It's sorry about that. We're in Oklahoma. We're in Oklahoma. We only just got electricity. You know, we're still figuring it out.
The gerbil slowed down on the wheel.
Yeah,
it's been very dramatic a couple times. You're like, we snuck up on him and the lights flashed for a second. Yeah. So it's been well timed.
Yeah. So I don't know. We get to get an electrician out here to figure out what the heck's going on. But yeah. Anyway, but that's for dramatic effect. You know, I figured, you know, it's TV, right? We need some drama.
Yes.
So yeah, we
got excited.
Yes.
You guys can keep track of how many times the light flickers and let us know in the comment down below at the end of the video. Yes. So we know we watched the whole way through, right?
Yes, that's it. It's engagement.
Yes. JoeFest was a big hit. I've been enjoying seeing like tons of posts on social media, different people's hauls. I'm friends with some guys that go and vend every year and that always hunt and find crazy stuff that like you never knew existed. You know, like that is one of those shows where you have some of the biggest collectors coming and some of the biggest collectors vending. So they bring stuff that is like unheard of, you know, just strange licensed things you didn't know they made. And then was the Declassified guys there again this year?
Yes.
They usually have their display with all the pre-production stuff, which just blows my mind every time.
Yeah. They always bring their pre-production items to display, and they always have a panel where they talk about, some aspect of the history of the line. Those guys, it's so informative. It's so interesting. And that's one of the things that I always look forward to. So yeah, if you have any any interest in the history of G.I. Joe, Joe Declassified is your source. And if you want to actually see the source in front of your very eyes, they show up at JoeFest and bring some really interesting artifacts.
Yeah, a lot of times they have those 2-up paint masters or original model sheets with the turnarounds of the figure, like just crazy stuff.
Yeah, like these little artifacts from the creation of the various aspects of the line, like the animated series, the toys. I remember one year they had, I don't know, a lot of head sculpts, like a whole array of original head sculpts, which was really interesting because you could see some details in the sculpt that did not translate to the smaller figure, because they are sculpted 2-up. They're sculpted double size. Not all of those details translated down to the figure size. So seeing those, it's just really enlightening. Even if you have every G.I. Joe action figure and you've been following it since you were a kid, there's more. Yeah. There's more. There is depth upon depth. Yeah, I think those guys are fantastic, and they always bring really, really interesting stuff to look at.
Yeah, it's definitely some of my favorite stuff at a show like that. You know, it's part of the price of admission almost. You know, it's like a thing to get to observe and see. You're not having to spend money on that part of it, but you get to just see really cool things that are luckily aren't squirreled away behind glass where nobody gets to see them. Like, you know what I mean? That all that stuff could have gone into private collections 20 years ago, and then no one would ever get to see it. And the fact that these guys bring this stuff out and share that part of their collection with other people to see is really cool.
Yeah, and I'm extremely grateful to them. They have made some discoveries over the years that have, changed our perspective and outlook on certain aspects of the series. So yeah, it's kudos to those guys, and I hope they keep coming every year, because that's one panel that I never miss. So yeah, awesome guys, and plus they're really cool guys. It's just nice to see them. All
right, should we move on to Alan Hassenfeld?
Yes, let's move on to Alan Hassenfeld.
So one of the members of the Hassenfeld family, which is the Hasbro brothers, the Hasbro company, recently passed away. So Alan Hassenfeld of Hasbro, the company was started by his grandfather. So I don't know if the Hasbro brothers referred to the grandfather and his sibling or his sons, which would have been Alan's, dad and uncles. He was the last member of the Hassenfeld family on the Hasbro board of directors. He died at the age of 76. He started working at the company in 1970 and actually got his degree in art from UPenn, which is not too far from where I live. And he became the president of Hasbro in 1984 and then became the CEO after his brother died in 1989. So he was very involved with the company during the run of G.I. Joe. I know his brother Steven was there when they brought it back in 82. But obviously, 89 was still, there's still quite a bit of life in the Joe brand while he was in charge there.
Yeah, Alan Hassenfeld. It's really sad that he's no longer with us. So my condolences to his family. I mean, he really was a part of the personal history of a lot of people, really all over the world.
Right.
From what I've read, Stephen Hassenfeld, his older brother, who passed away in the 80s, was really the business CEO type. He was really the go-getter as far as being a businessman. But when he passed and Alan took over, Alan Hassenfeld had to step up,
right,
and he had to move into to a role that he wasn't necessarily comfortable with. But he saw it through, and he kept the company viable. He kept the company from being purchased by competitors. He kept the company as an independent entity, and he oversaw the transformation of Hasbro from a family company to a big multinational a corporation that had the power to do things like make movies and like capitalize on all these toy lines. They made several major entertainment company purchases over the years, but yeah, he was. I guess my appreciation for Alan Hassenfeld is that he had the fortitude to step up and do something that wasn't easy for him.
Right.
But because he did that, we have things that are important to us. The community there in Pawtucket has something there that is important to them. I think he should be honored for that. So rest in peace, Alan Hassenfeld, and thank you for all that you did.
Yeah, he's featured a lot in the Toys That Made Us, the G.I. Joe episode. He might be in a few other episodes also, but mostly in that one, talking about the line and some of the things, the decisions that were made even by his father, I think, with the original 12-inch line, and then his brother with the 3 3/4 inch. And another big part of his whole outside of the company itself or adjacent to the company was that he started the Hasbro Children's Hospital, which is a big philanthropic endeavor, by the Hassenfeld family. And he was the person that spearheaded that. So, he definitely did a lot of good outside of the toy industry as well. And so just wanted to kind of, acknowledge his passing and everything in case people aren't aware,
Thank you.
The people that make the toys we love.
Hasbro. We know Hasbro from toy boxes and stuff, but in that community around Pawtucket and in Rhode Island in general, they've been a strong member of that community, and Alan Hassenfeld had a lot to do with that. So yeah.
All right, and then the final segment that we kind of had planned was to talk about a figure that you never got around to reviewing. There is a lot of figures, right? You were on a mission at one point to try and document all the figures from 82 to 94.
Yeah.
And then, plans change, and that happens. But I know that there are figures that you've thought about that you wanted to review. We've talked about a few before. I had an idea for an episode that we ended up not shooting right around the time you retired. And when I pitched the idea to you, you mentioned that you had an idea for a review that did something similar. And I didn't give it away because I may go back and shoot that at some point. But it's just funny how those conversations go. And when you're reviewing this year's worth of stuff, you're also thinking, I mean, that's just the life of a content creator. You're always thinking about what else would I do, or what would I do when I get the time, or all that kind of stuff. So I threw it out to Brian. What's a figure you didn't get to review you want to talk about? And you came up with Nitro Viper.
Yeah, Nitro Viper. We talked a little bit about the interesting history of G.I. Joe that can be forgotten sometimes, and Nitro Viper has a couple claims to fame. This is a project that I had in the works a bit before I retired. It's something that it was on the radar. But I definitely didn't have everything that I needed to do a review. But one thing that distinguishes the Nitro Viper, what makes him unique among all of the other vintage G.I. Joe action figures, is that he did not have a file card.
He's the only one.
Yeah, the only one, no file card, not printed on the box. He's a vehicle driver of the detonator, not
Correct.
Printed on the vehicle box. No card inserted into the vehicle box.
Carson's giant book here.
Yes,
which is unwieldy. I love this book.
I have that right over here. Yeah, it's right.
Brutal.
My copy is right here.
But I think the detonator, if I can find it.
Well, I think I have Belomo over here. If I
well, that might be easier.
Let's see here. Yeah, we got our print sources here. Let's see what we can pull together here. Let's see. I've got Belomo's 3rd edition. We're looking for 1993. That 1993 was a very big year. That's the detonator.
It's a giant blue truck that could shoot foam, basically Nerf missiles off the back of it.
Yep. There she is. And it's funny that that particular type of vehicle is brought up because the firing mechanism it's not exactly like, but it's sort of similar to the G.I. Joe Extreme vehicles or cannons that I opened and unboxed, and they're way up there now. I can't reach them. But they also fired those foam missiles. So yeah, that little experiment is something that was carried on to later forms of G.I. Joe. But yes, the detonator, a late Cobra vehicle with a vehicle driver, something that that G.I. Joe did less and less of as it came closer to the end of the line. But the Track Viper had no file card. Everybody gets a file card. Even complete nobodies get a file card. Like the mail away Ninja Viper gets a file card.
Right.
The driver of obscure vehicle, take your pick, still gets a file card, except for Nitro Viper. They just didn't bother.
I was recently watching one of the mini documentaries that Carson has uploaded from the 3D Joe's website, and he's interviewing Vinny, and I'm gonna butcher his last name, so I'm not even gonna try. But the guy that Overkill is based on, right, who is the head of Boys Toys or the G.I. Joe brand for that period of time. In '93, they were running a marathon, but they were sprinting it. They put out more product that year than any other year. They had 4 different toys that they consider drivers, which is a product that they're putting commercials out for, they're focusing on. So the detonator, this particular vehicle, the Rhino, which was for the 12-inch line. I forget what else they had, but there was 4 major products. Oh, I think the Ghost Striker, maybe the jet that projected the flashlight stuff on the wall. Yeah. So they were racing to get all this stuff out. They're doing like Ninja Shadow Ninjas and things like that. So they've cut corners there by not doing individual artwork, and they're just putting Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow in everybody's package. And somewhere along the line, I don't know who it was, they just, I guess, forgot to make the card. Nobody in packaging, nobody in management, nobody was like, "Hey, where's the card?" You would almost think that somebody along the line is used to seeing, here's the card art, here's the presentation art, here's the file card, like, and would have pointed it out, but it just never got missed.
The description of sprinting a marathon really is apt to 1993 in the G.I. Joe line. It is nuts. It is crazy. That line has more figures than like a lot of 2 years put together.
Yeah.
Multiple sub teams. It was massive. Collecting all of 1993 is a challenge. They really were. That's exactly right. They were shoving them out the door. So Nitro Viper, no file card. However, there was a file card. Not at the time. It came later.
Right.
Let's see. Make sure that I pronounce the name right. It was written by a fan, Michael Levanos. Just a fan of G.I. Joe, like you and me, wrote a file card, but it actually got printed. It actually got endorsed by Hasbro, not in 1993, but in 1994. It was included in a special edition of the magazine Action Figure News and Toy Reviews, which I do like. I have a lot of copies of that magazine. Not this one, but I have a lot of copies of that magazine. And it's a Nitro Viper file card. It is an official, unofficial Nitro Viper file card. They did an oopsie. So the next year, they took the one that the fan created and said, yes, that's good enough. That's the Nitro Viper file card. And it
has messaging in there project that is specifically, there was no file card. It's the only one that did, like, they acknowledge it completely in that publication. And it looks like those little postcards you pull out and mail back in for different, to subscribe to magazines. It's just a little tiny thing stapled into the binding of the magazine.
Yeah, it's yes, they like stapled it. Yes, they stapled them in there, and that was it. And it was released in 1994, and it was congruent with the G.I. Joe 30th salute. So the 30th anniversary of the 1964 G.I. Joe.
Right.
And they had the big convention that is generally considered to be the first JoeCon in 1994 on the USS Intrepid in New York. And this issue of Action Figure News and Toy Review was a special edition for that convention. And right. the official, unofficial file card was included in there. And to me, that's really interesting. This is this weird little quirk of the history of the line that this is the kind of thing that would intrigue me, because it's not just a piece of the history of the Nitro Viper and the detonator and the crazy year that was 1993. It's also a bit of JoeCon history,
right?
Which, I mean, we just talked about JoeCon and JoeFest. This is the lineage of that, starting back in 1994, and this is a piece of history of that as well. So, for that reason, to do that review, I really wanted a copy of that magazine.
Yeah, I've seen the card for sale at conventions and things like that, or with the figure for crazy money. I do not have that file card in my collection.
Yeah. Well, neither do I. This is a project that was uncompleted, but right. It was something that was on my radar. And occasionally the file card will turn up. It'll come around, and I thought about getting that, but I thought, like, the magazine itself is a piece of history that I would like to look at, and a review would be an opportunity to talk about that convention on the USS Intrepid, to talk about just how that went, what happened. Some monumentous changes in G.I. Joe happened at that convention.
One of the things mentioned in that same interview that I was talking about with Vinny, he literally talked about how they all knew they were getting moved to another brand, that G.I. Joe was dead, but they all came to the convention anyway because it was kind of their last shot at hanging out with the Joe team and the Joe fans and just kind of living up and celebrating that 30 years of G.I. Joe, even though the brand was going dormant.
Yeah, I know that some of the history has been told before, because even I have talked about that convention a little bit, and it's been covered. But that file card is like a weird congruence of the Nitro Viper and the detonator and the history of Joe Con and the transition of G.I. Joe away from a real American hero and towards Sergeant Savage.
Right.
And it really was a crossroads. And that silly Nitro Viper of all the action figures,
who's just
he's just sitting. Yeah, and it's a track Viper.
He's not even
it's a recolored track Viper. It's like, other than being maybe a little bit harder to find, it's not like they didn't no new sculpting. They just recolored an existing figure. But that silly guy right there he's like sitting in a lawn chair at the crossroads of all of these pieces of G.I. Joe history that I would have enjoyed doing that. But I was not close to having that ready. It was very much on the radar, but that was going to look like a longer term project because I needed to track down, no pun intended, the magazine, the file card, and figure and the detonator to really do it right. I did some research. I was actively looking for things. But that's as far as I got. Well, but that is one that that's one that sometimes I think back to, and I think, oh man, that would have been a really fulfilling video to do. That would have been really satisfying for me to do, and hopefully people would have gotten something out of it. The idea that a goofy figure like the Track Viper, a remarkably unremarkable figure like the Track Viper is sort of the hub of this, all these changes that were happening in the line at the time.
And it's interesting too, because like the character, doesn't even have a background, right? And the vehicle is such a kind of a bizarre thing for the line, it was sort of just see what sticks. And then he just sort of ended up being in this position of being this ultra rare thing.
Yeah.
And to track all that stuff down, that's one of the things that was always great about your content. You would look up, all these little references in the file cards and all the little details on a figure. And, I'm not like knocking anybody else that makes content, but sometimes people are using just stock photos from the internet, which is okay. There's lots of times where I reference something and need to, borrow a picture from Yo Joe or 3D Joe's. We can't all own everything, but that was like a sort of a mile marker of your content, is you weren't doing a review until you had all the stuff. And that definitely added to the quality of the content and the validity of the sort of the expertise of it, right? It wasn't just like, hey, I read this Wikipedia thing to you and put some clip art on it,
Well, so thank you. I definitely wanted to show, not just tell. I think another aspect of it. See, I'm sitting here thinking about. Sometimes I still have the reviewer brain, right? Because
it's hard to put it down.
This is an example of a piece of basically fan fiction, a fan contribution that became an official part of the line. And that did not happen very often.
Right.
But it did happen a few times in the history. So, it's an opportunity to talk about that as well.
It kind of fits into the like Stephen King writing Crystal Ball's file card and Sneak Peek being named after Stephen King's son. Like these weird, like, oh, you're a fan and your name got snuck in, right? Like the brand people whose names are on file cards or their likeness is on the package. There's been a lot of those things over the years. But rarely is it somebody who's just a fan that's not somehow connected. It's usually Hasbro employees. But there's been a few. The Sightline character finally getting a figure based on Gary Gogglehead. Yes. Like that is an amazing like tribute to a true blue, G.I. Joe fan and being able to be part of the line. Like the Nitro Viper fire card.
So salute to Michael Lavanos. Congratulations, Michael, to you, sir. You did something that few of us ever get to do, and that is have something that you made become officially sanctioned and part of the line. That's pretty special.
Now, I didn't grab the reference book again, but I'll put it on the screen. One of the things that I did notice looking at the production art, because by 93, they stopped putting the little bubble in the box to show the figures, but they had a painting of the drivers, their full body. And it looks like it could just be a lighting effect of the painting, but it actually looks like his legs should have been silver all the way up to the little wires on his legs, and also there might have been silver planned to be on his chest. So I wonder if those were just kind of costed out little paint apps that they decided they didn't need to run on the figure. But it's always interesting to look at the artwork for almost all the figures and then look at the toy and how close they were on some, and then sometimes how strangely off they were. Like there's an Iceberg figure from possibly 93, maybe the same era, where he comes with the snowboard, and he's got the green ski mask, but the production one had a yellow ski mask. That was just such an odd change. So I always like looking at those little differences.
Those little differences have been showing up since 1982. Like Breaker, does he have a beard or not? It's really these things. When we were kids, it's just, I don't know, quirky. Maybe somebody made a mistake. Maybe you don't even care because you open the thing and you're playing with it. But all of these things, somebody contributed to. Somebody designed it. Somebody created it, and they had a reason for doing it. So these things, like these choices, they affect what the thing that we hold in our hand. That's a part of being in a creative industry where you are, producing essentially little bits of art for mass consumption.
Yeah.
The creation of art is not always linear, and even when it's industrialized, as it is in the toy industry, it still, the creative process still follows its side streams and its tributaries. So it's fascinating. That's one of the reasons why I stuck with it for such a long time, why it continued to be interesting to me, is because there's more to look at than toys. And the toys were great. I enjoyed the toys. That's why I got into it in the first place. But there are several layers under that you can get into. And weirdly, the Track Viper is fairly deep in one of those layers.
He's also a figure that makes me think of your video for Incinerator. His head's a little funny, but when you turn him to the side and the back and you start seeing how that helmet is shaped, there's no way a human head is inside that thing.
Yeah. So his head's sort of like he's cubed. He's a cube head.
He is. Yeah.
That's it. He's from Minecraft. Before Minecraft was invented, somehow he wandered his way through a portal and ended up working for Cobra. He's got a square head.
The Cobra Commander is surrounded by blockheads.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by blockheads.
Well, it was great to have you on. It was good to be able to talk about this and hear about JoeFest. It's one of these things I got to get to again one of these years. But it was great having you to be able to join us and talk about, a figure that you've wanted to talk about. There's so many figures in that line, and I've reviewed far less than you because my focus wasn't on weekly G.I. Joe reviews. There have been stretches of time where I've done a lot of Joe reviews or, a specific episode. A lot of times the Cobra Convergence episodes, obviously we're a figure review. But it's fun to actually pull a figure out and kind of dig into it and, look at that artwork and compare it and just kind of acknowledge some of the stuff that's there. And Nitro Viper at a surface level of it's just a repaint vehicle driver is kind of a nothing figure until you look at the history of it.
Yeah. There's more there. And that's toward the end of my reviewing career, the times where it was the most enjoyable is when I was able to find something like that to dig into, where you're looking at a toy, you're looking at an action figure, you're looking at a vehicle, but through that you're finding something unexpected, which isn't necessarily the case with all of them. But
right.
Sometimes they're just some special gems that you find buried that you never would have expected until you start digging.
I think some of that magic with G.I. Joe comes from the fact that it's not based on some other media, and it's a pure creation of a creative entity, and a team of people. If you're working on DC Superpowers or you're working on Ninja Turtles, you're sort of taking a thing that exists and maybe putting your own lens on it, your own style of sculpting or something like that. But for the most part, you're just reproducing a thing that exists. And occasionally they might create their own thing. The end of Superpowers has a couple of characters that aren't really DC comic characters, or Ninja Turtles, they may take a good guy and make him a bad guy or make him more disgusting because that's what kids wanted in the 90s. But G.I. Joe, every single figure, every single personality, every single vehicle is some stroke of genius or imagination that came from all these talented people that you've mentioned and people that we didn't mention, but from the guys sketching a design to the guys approving those designs to the guy that converts it into a model and then engineering tinkers with it and either makes it better or wrecks it. It's amazing, but all those fingerprints kind of mold it into more than the plastic it is.
It's kind of flying without a net too, because if you're doing something like DC Superpowers, like you know that people like Superman, right? So people like Batman. So you're working with at least partially a known quantity. Whereas if you've got something that is new, created from scratch, it is going to live or die based on based on the end product that you produce. You can't lean on a movie or a comic book. In fact, the comic books and the TV shows lean on the toys. So it's a risk. And credit to the Hassenfelds for taking that risk in the 80s.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for hanging on the peg, I guess.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me. It's really nice to talk to you.
Make sure you guys check out Hoodie's old reviews. I'm sure he'll appreciate getting a spike in comments on those. It's always fun to, see your friends come back through and watch an old video again, leave a comment about, this was one of my favorite episodes or whatever. So, show Hoodie some love.
Thank you. And also Pegwarmers. Make sure you like and subscribe, thumbs up, share, put it on the TikTok and the Instagrams and the Insta faces or whatever the kids are doing now.